Your Views, My Facts, begins in 3, 2, 1. All right, everybody, glad to have you all with us. Welcome to Your Views, My Facts. I will be your host, Thomas John. We are going to be talking about today the August 26th fight between Floyd Money Mayweather and Conor the Notorious McGregor. All right, so I have with me three of my good friends. Starting with my left, I have Rich. Rich, go ahead and say hello.
What's going on?
I also have Will.
What's going on, everybody?
And I've got Cody.
Hey, what's up?
All right, so is everybody excited about this fight?
It's going to be pretty awesome, I think.
I am very excited about this fight.
It's just going to be a payday.
Payday for both fighters?
Yeah. I mean, I'm indifferent on it, so I'm the common man here.
Why are you indifferent?
Just because, like, I'm not a big fight watcher, advocate person that just, you know, it always keeps up with the shit. Like, I'm more of a football fan, so I'm going to watch it, but I'm not expecting too much.
All right, so you're not pulling for anybody in specific?
Well, I know Mayweather's going to win.
Going to win?
Going to win.
All right, we're making that call out right now that Mayweather's winning.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, Will?
I'm going to have to agree with that as well. I think Mayweather's going to take this fight.
Is that who you want to win?
That is not who I want to win. However, that is... if I were a betting man, I would pick Mayweather. That is for sure.
But you are a betting man.
So
that is why I'm going with Floyd Mayweather.
Okay, all right, so are you a McGregor fan, or is this something that you just want to see a MMA guy come into the boxing ring and take Mayweather out? Or I guess what is leading you towards saying that you would love to see McGregor win?
I would like to see McGregor win just because it would make what it would do for MMA is crazy. To think that a guy's never had a professional boxing match, he's going to step on the biggest stage against one of the greatest fighters of all time, and then he's predicting he's going to knock him out and do all this stuff. That would look great for MMA. And boxing's in kind of like a turmoil, honestly, right now.
Yeah, well, right, yeah, I would argue that if McGregor wins this is going to be a nail in the coffin for boxing.
Yeah, it's highly possible. I mean, just look at all the pay-per-view buys that have happened for boxing in the past 6 to 8 months. It's not even anywhere near UFC and stuff like that.
I think that's the difficult part about this. Boxing's face has been Mayweather, right? We wait May, September. Normally he's there. And for a lot of millennials and new fans to boxing, I think when they buy the pay-per-view, they assume that they're going to get a different fight than what they see. Easily, Mayweather's the greatest technical fighter we've ever seen. Is that exciting? Is that great for the sport of boxing? Probably not. Is it great for Mayweather? Yeah, of course.
I mean, but you see that in UFC too. The people that know how to just score the points so that they win, you know, and those are the boring ass fights that no one wants to watch.
That's true, but with the UFC, there is still that factor of brutality that I think naturally human beings tend to flock towards. Right? It's just like the Roman Colosseum. Like we're gonna pay money to see people murder themselves. UFC is like the closest thing in a civilized society that we can have to ancient Rome right now. And I think that's what brings in a lot of people that want to go watch the fights, want to actually pay the pay-per-view for the UFC fight, knowing that you can choke someone out, and that could be it for them. A referee literally stands in the way of someone dying.
Okay, so what was your prediction as well, Rich?
I want McGregor to win, but Floyd Mayweather is just in a different class of fighter. So I'm taking Floyd. I give McGregor a 20% chance of winning on the pure fact that he's got the age, he's got the reach, he's got the size, and he's got the power. But
okay, hey, and all things that we're going to get to hopefully a little bit later, all those intangibles and the variables. I myself, I want Floyd Money Mayweather to win, and I also believe that he will win. So it looks like we have one individual. Cody's indifferent. We've got two that would hope that McGregor wins, but they believe that Mayweather is going to win, and then I'm also on the Mayweather bandwagon all around. So we're just talking about the stats and how technical of a boxer Floyd Money Mayweather is. So I wanted to look up something before this had started, and so we are all aware that Mayweather is the best defensive boxer, hands down, right? Is that all agreed?
That is agreed.
absolutely.
All right. So some that I'd researched that I thought was interesting that I did not know about was if everybody's familiar with CompuBox, right? So basically got started in 1985. And it's just you got two individuals that are sitting there, one for the red corner, one for the blue corner. If those are even what the colors are called anymore, I have no idea. But you got two guys that are sitting there, and they're just watching, right, your jabs, your punches, your hooks, uppercuts, and they're just, as soon as it lands, boom, they just, right, punch a key. So there's just 4 keys on this thing, right, for each guy. So since CompuBox was started in 1985, Mayweather is the most accurate since the inception of hitting people. Now, if you go back and watch Mayweather fights, I don't think that I would say that he hits people often, and I don't know if that is because there is a disguise that he is such a defensive boxer that you see him more right on the ropes, and you're not really paying attention to when he is striking because he's not necessarily going right for those hard knockouts. Thoughts on that? Anybody else find that intriguing?
Yeah, so with the CompuBox numbers, they factor in, they count every punch that's thrown, but when it comes to landing a punch, they do factor in, did the punch penetrate a guard, did the punch actually land to the body, and did the fighter actually get to roll with the punch itself. So those numbers are as accurate as they can be. For Floyd, he may have the highest percentage of accuracy, but he also has a very low output. So he spends much of the fight actually just in a defensive guard. He takes a lot of shots, but it normally doesn't get past the guard. And so for him, you really won't see a high punching output until after the 6th round. Once the fighter is worn down, it gives Floyd Mayweather a far higher chance of landing an open shot from a tired fighter. He's easily the best counterpuncher we've seen, so he's not going to throw a punch until a punch is already thrown.
And you brought up a good point with the output that he is putting out. Right, I go back to, obviously, if you do something just 1-to-1, you got 100%. Right, where you might have another fighter that is throwing out 100 punches and they only land 10. Right, obviously they're only sitting at 10% then. So that was a good point regarding the output. Cody, you have any thoughts on that?
I mean, the only fight that I've watched Mayweather in was the Pacquiao fight, and I honestly thought Mayweather got his ass beat. And then whenever it came to the decision or whatever, like, he lost. So, like, for me, as someone that doesn't follow, like, the world of fighting sports, like, I can see how his technicality is what's going to win him through the fight, because he did weather the storm from Pacquiao, and that's what kind of pissed me off.
All right, now, was Pacquiao his 47th fight or his 48th?
I have no idea. That was the first fight I ever watched of Mayweather.
Pacquiao was his 48th fight.
His 48th fight, and his very last fight was against Berto? Is that accurate?
Berto, yep.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, Cody, I understand, right, when you're watching Mayweather fight, that a lot of people obviously tend to think that he is losing, and that I think part of the allure is that you want the other person to win, right, and being in that moment of, hey, I got to see Mayweather's first loss. But then it comes back to, I think, knowing the boxing science, which I'm not saying that I am a guru on, but I think there is something to be said for, right, these glancing blows that these individuals are doing where you think that, right, a Pacquiao right, is actually landing punches when they are not. Will, you want to jump in here and give me some thoughts?
Well, yeah, like you said, he's just a really good defensive fighter, and I think that's going to be the game plan. Like, he has to take Conor serious, because in the first 4 rounds, if McGregor's going to come out and just throwing heat and trying to knock him out, I think it's in his best interest to just stay defensive, do what he does best, drag him into deep water, and then win the decision. I don't really see it going to a knockout from Mayweather. I mean, how often does he actually knock people out? That he was doing that when he was younger, not as in the later years of his career.
Right. So I guess the 2 points that I would bring up off that is, one, I mean, how serious, though, is Mayweather supposed to take Conor? I mean, from what I understand,
if he doesn't take him serious, he's going to get knocked out if he does not take him serious.
I agree with that, too.
He will get knocked out if he does not take him serious.
Even coming from the best defensive fighter in the world?
Yeah, like if he's slacking and he's not, if he thinks that he's just going to walk in there and just, no preparation, whatever, try to go toe-to-toe with McGregor will knock him out. He will knock him out.
Okay.
Yeah, but he only has to take him serious for like the first 4 rounds. So unless McGregor has been strictly training cardio and endurance on punches and everything else like that, and fighting in a boxing style format, training up until this point, after the 4th round, Mayweather could knock him out because I predict McGregor's going to be tired as shit.
I think there's a factor we're not looking at here, though. I mean, McGregor often does not get to the ground in UFC, but he has been on the ground. That's just as exhausting, if not more exhausting, than standing and striking. The amount of energy output while you're on the ground and just being able to survive that kind of fight is tremendous. And I know Conor's actually been training in high altitude for this fight. So I don't think it's his legs that'll go. I don't see a knockout, him getting knocked out. But I do see him being outclassed if he can't win in the first 4 rounds, for sure.
I'm not sure, though, if the cardio that you would need in MMA, right, and the exhaustion that you are going to feel from being on the ground equates to holding your hands up now with 10-ounce gloves for 12 rounds, right? I mean, that is a different level of you better be in shape. Not saying that McGregor's not in shape. Obviously, he is a specimen to behold, but you have to keep your hands up. And obviously, Mayweather's definitely been doing this for 49 damn fights. So I could potentially see that right to where McGregor could have that cardio and to get in there. And with Cody mentioning, right, that you better weather the storm within those first rounds, because if I'm not mistaken, it was back in Toronto then with these latest press conferences, which was a circus show, but I enjoyed every single one of them. I don't know if you guys watched them at all.
I watched them all.
Yeah, I did too.
Phenomenal.
I didn't see any.
But so
You saw the Facebook highlights.
Nope.
So if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was Toronto then where McGregor said that I will knock you out within 4 rounds. That was said?
That was
correct?
guaranteed.
So now, how silly do you look when that doesn't happen? Or how bold of a statement are you trying to make when, again, the last time that you had anything to do with legitimate boxing was back when you were under 16 years old in Ireland, and that's when you won some youth championship.
Was it
according to well, who it could have been. I'm going to have to call up the one guys from Boondock Saints, ask them if they're from, or were they from Scotland? Were they Irish? I don't know.
They're Irish.
Yeah, I'm going to have to call them up now and ask them what they think of him.
I think one of them's running from zombies right now, so I don't know if we can get a hold of him.
No, that's true. He's deep in that system. But that is going back to what I'm trying to argue, which is how serious do you take a guy that is not a boxer? And I'm not saying Mayweather's going to go in there and keep his hands down, but all you have to do is just, as Cody said, weather the storm. I mean, you've got somebody that's basically laying out their game plan saying, I'm going to try to go all out in those first 4 rounds. And I think Conor in his head, not that he's scared, but I think he knows that is his chance. Like, his chance is within definitely those first 6 rounds. After that, it's going to be hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's not going to outbox Floyd Mayweather. Let's get that out there. There's no way he will outbox Floyd Mayweather.
I fully agree.
The one factor we have to look at, though, is we're looking at everything from a Mayweather perspective, and rightly so, right? Easily the best boxer we've seen in 20 years.
And
probably.
It's his domain.
It is. But with Conor, he's got a confidence to him. He's the bigger fighter. And as we've seen time and time again, Floyd does struggle sometimes against the larger man, right? You can look at, like, the Cotto fight. You can look at the Shane Mosley fight. Early on, the bigger fighter had his way with Floyd Mayweather, where he was landing shots. Floyd Mayweather was bleeding. He felt it, right? And then those men slowed down. Conor has to factor that in, and he has to know that. But Conor's easily the biggest guy that Floyd's ever fought. His reach is unbelievable, and he's that much younger than Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather has chosen to fight older fighters his whole career. Excluding Canelo and Cotto, you could say Cotto was at the middle of his age for fighting, and Canelo was still pretty young. But excluding those, everybody's been aged fighters. Here you're going up against somebody who's, I think, at least 8 years younger, if not more. His reach is tremendous. So I don't know how well early on Floyd will have any jabs or body shots on Conor. Conor's reach will be a factor.
Sure. Now, depending on the birth month, so I think it's either 10 years or 11 years, right, is the age difference. So one's 40, one's 29. But again, who knows what their damn birth months were. But the reach now, just off some stats that I saw, is that Conor only has a 74-inch reach and Floyd's got a 72-inch reach. I don't think that is absurd of a difference. So am I missing something in what reach means when it comes to fighting? In no way am I saying that I'm the expert. Will, Cody?
Well, you got to look at it too. Like Conor knows how to move very well, especially when we watch him move around the octagon. He could slip in and out really fast. He's more rangy than he looks, and that's just a number. You know what I'm saying? You're saying 74 inches, 72 inches. You combine his movement with the way he's going to move around, he's going to look like he's got a huge reach advantage on Mayweather in those first couple rounds. But that's the thing is, will he be able to move like that for 12 rounds? I don't think so at all.
All right,
There's no way.
Well, okay, so talking more angles, right? And that this is probably something that Mayweather has not seen.
Yeah, because it's going to look totally different. I mean, if you just look at the way people box, they stand in front of each other, there's clinching, there's stuff like that. In MMA, if two like world-class strikers are fighting, they're usually circling around each other and then picking their shots based off weird angles, where a lot of punches in boxing, it comes from someone directly in front of you or from the side or like an uppercut, something like that.
Agreed.
So the angles will be different, but how long will it take Mayweather to adjust to that? I mean, who's to say he couldn't pick that up after the first round? He's like, oh, I just got, clapped with this left hand. Now I got to look out for this. And he's going to adapt very fast. I think he will adapt.
Oh, right. I mean, let alone being one of the best defensive boxers, I think I would argue that he's one of the smartest boxers when he is in that ring, and that he will learn exactly what you're going to do, and that he's 3 steps ahead of you before you even know what you're doing, which is just absurd when you look at it and you think about that.
Well, he doesn't know how to read, so he has all that extra brain power, right?
All right, that was a little bit of a low blow.
Well, we're all stroking his ego right now.
Funny.
So.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, too, just like how Mayweather can predict things that are going to happen, I mean, you should look at the McGregor fight with Aldo. I mean, he was warming up in the back with the exact same shots that he put on him and knocked him out in, all of maybe 9-10 seconds. He literally does the same exact thing he opened the fight up with in the dressing room before the fight. It was like a replay. He did the same thing in the octagon and knocked him out cold. So he knows what's going to happen as well. I mean, they can both telegraph what the other guy is going to do. They both have that ability.
And with Conor too, Conor's striking is perfectly timed.
Yeah, that is one thing I think Conor has that is crazy, is his timing. Timing is crazy.
Yeah, I still think that it is just going to be an outmatched challenge, right, for Conor, and Floyd is just going to destroy this kid.
But the question has to be, what if Conor breaks the guard, or what if Conor lands that one shot?
Well, we're in boxing. There is no guard. Well, I'm just throwing that out there. I thought this was a boxing match, not an MMA match. Is there a guard?
Well, I mean, I think Rich is alluding to, if Mayweather's just going to stand in front of him as if they're in a clinch or something like that, and just put his hands up, like that, I would not see that working well for him, because Conor he will throw heavy, and it will break his guard.
Okay, so here's what I'm worried about. When we're going into earlier talking about the predictions, is I am worried about the clinch and there being the dirty boxing going on, right? Liver shots, kidney shots. How well Conor is well versed, obviously, just being in the octagon. He knows where the referee is, right? He's got the octagon presence, right? And he'll have the ring presence too. So I'm worried that he will know where the referee is at, and he's going to start throwing blows that I think could potentially then start to wear down on Mayweather. But if he doesn't do anything with that in those first couple of rounds, I'm not sure how far that's going to go. And then do you get a Floyd? Do you get a Conor to start playing extremely dirty if he's now knows that he's falling behind? Are there going to be some cheap shots?
I mean, I think you're going to have that either way. Like, not just on Conor's end, but on Floyd's. We've seen Floyd Mayweather do some borderline skeptical stuff. Touching mitts and then literally taking a shot on somebody.
Yeah, when he blasted Victor Ortiz, a lot of people thought that was a dirty shot. I mean, it is what it is, but
I wanted to see someone's ear get bit off.
That
was the 90s, Cody.
And the Victor Ortiz was a knockout.
Yes, correct. I mean, you've seen it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We've all seen it.
I rewatched it just for this, just so I could see it. So 2011 is when it happened. That was Floyd's last knockout.
You can probably look back to when he fought the Ghost, another fighter who was very dirty on the clinch, and Floyd matched him. You know, and which is fine. It's expected. You know, like there's no fighting in the world that's not going to have that unless you go to like a top-notch martial arts tournament. Like anything that's going to be UFC or boxing related is going to have some
dirty shots.
Absolutely. You know, we went back last night and watched some of the '90s fights, and the amount of low shots that you can see are pretty tremendous.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So by the way, that was Robert the Ghost Guerrero.
Yep.
Or however it's pronounced. I don't know. I'm an English dude, so in American, I don't know how I'm exactly.
I speak American as well.
Well, that's good. I'm glad that we're all speaking American currently. So, all right, let's get into then on the accolades that Floyd has been sitting with then throughout his 49 fights. So 15 world titles, right? He's done it in 4 different weight classes. I believe twice was in light featherweight or something on those lines. Bronze medal in 1996 Olympics. I think that was the only time that in his career since he started boxing that he's ever fell short of anything. And then he's got 3 Golden Gloves, which doesn't really mean much because there are thousands of fighters throughout the U.S. that can get Golden Gloves. But he has been such a dominant figure, and he has made the money that does anybody think that Conor is even deserving of 9 figures in this fight?
Well, you should look at McGregor's pay-per-views buys as well from the UFC aspect of it. I mean, he's the cash cow of the UFC, and then you have the cash cow of boxing fighting each other. So, yeah, does he deserve it from a money standpoint? I mean, you're talking Conor's making what, maybe $5-6 million at best, and Floyd Mayweather's hitting like, what does he make in a regular fight?
150 million.
Yeah, 150 million. So like on that level, like, is he deserving of that much money? I don't know. I don't know who makes those decisions or anything like that. But as far as being an entertainer, for the sport, I think that they're equally matched in their respective professions.
Do you think that a line was crossed at all between the entertainment and smack talking, I guess, if you will, right? I mean, especially with these press conferences. I mean, there's something to be said, obviously, for promoting your fight and wanting to get people to buy it. But do you think that at times, was there any moments that you thought that was over the line?
No, not at all.
No?
No, I agree with them. I mean, you can go back and you can look at fights from the 70s and 80s, and some of the things that people would talk about during those fights were just inconceivable today. You know, liberals would lose their mind. And so we have Conor, who's absolutely an entertainer, and Mayweather is the definition of entertainment. So from a capitalism perspective, they're worth every dollar that they earn. If we're going to pay as human beings to watch the fight, they've earned every dollar.
Sure, I can agree with that. Right? I mean, Cody had mentioned earlier the running joke for the last couple of years, right, with Mayweather and that he can't read. Right, so McGregor brought that up. I mean, you had Mayweather potentially. I thought for times he was going to do something disrespectful to the Ireland flag. Right, then you had McGregor taking his whole bag of money. I thought right there somebody was about to get shot. I mean, that was just me. I mean, I thought for sure, like, this is not going to be good. And I don't know what Dana White was doing, just sitting in the back, not trying to stop any of this. But you had...
He's sitting there letting the money...
Oh, of course, he's counting those dollar signs. I agree. But in the last press conference, you even had McGregor then that came around and touched Mayweather, right on it. And I get that it was just it was just on his head. It was a subtle, hey, how you doing? Right, I can't believe I haven't seen you with your hat off yet. But I mean, that's where I'm trying to look at. Was there a point to where you are crossing lines that maybe you shouldn't be crossing? And again, I get the smack talk, and I understand going back to the previous years, but while I enjoyed the circus and I loved what I was watching, I just thought that there were times where it was like, I don't know if you should be doing that. I mean, one of the press conferences, Mayweather had his whole guys circle McGregor. I thought there was about to be a brawl right there.
I think one thing we have to look at for sure is that this is all just to build hype, right?
Yeah.
Conor and Floyd do not hate each other. They may for the fight, they may during the press conferences, but they're not. I guarantee there's nothing one or the other does to the other that the other one's not comfortable with, right? They both understand this is how they're going to draw in money, and they are going to make more money. Dana White laughing in the background is because he knows we are soaking this up, and that much more people are going to pay for the pay-per-view. I don't think anything like there obviously people have said that Conor's done things that have been borderline racist, and I could definitely see where that is coming from. But if you don't think Floyd knew that kind of stuff was going to go on, I think you're foolish on how smart Floyd is at making money.
Right. Okay. Agreed. But going back with the hype in the fight, right, and trying to sell the show and getting the money. So I want to recircle back to Conor potentially getting the 9 figures, right, worth of a fight, worth of a payday of $100 million. And that, is it Conor bringing in that money, or is it Floyd bringing in that money?
It's both.
Yeah, it's definitely both of them.
Yeah. Because it's like whenever you do a crossover with a TV show, like you put Simpsons on Family Guy or Family Guy on South Park or something like that. Like you're bringing in two dynamics into one arena, so you're going to draw crowds from both people. So both of them, like Conor has such a huge following with everyone from the UFC, and then Floyd Mayweather for all the last dying boxing fans, and like boxing being huge in international countries, they're going to bring that crowd in as well.
Right. Okay. So being mindful of that, boxing is traditionally ran by the mob and or the mafia, and it's a worldwide sport. And knowing that the MMA pays their fighters absolutely dick.
Yep.
So how much money do you think that Conor legitimately could make in just an MMA fight? I mean, we're saying that he makes potentially $6-7 million. Now, I'm saying if he was paid what he should be owed, do we even think it's near $25 million? I mean, just off of buys and so that's what I'm getting. I understand that he's bringing the followers in, right, and doing a crossover and getting MMA guys in, but it's still if the UFC gave Conor every last dime from the pay-per-view buys and merchandise sold, I don't think he comes close, right, to what Floyd gets with the prices. And maybe again, it's because it's the worldwide. Boxing is the worldwide sport, and it has some potentially unsavory individuals that throw in a lot of money towards it. So that's where I'm at with the money, and then I have another point to bring up with that. But again, we'll kind of talk on that. On do we still think that he's worth the 9 figures?
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't he be? It's just like he's going out there and putting himself on the line, right? Not to the extreme that he does in the UFC. So it's like, why wouldn't he get at least a tenth of what Mayweather would get? Because they're both title holders,
right? But Mayweather's the guy, and I would argue that
for boxing.
True,
and Conor's the guy for UFC. Until at least GSP gets back or Roy Jones Jr. gets back, right?
Well, Roy Jones Jr. is a boxer.
Wait, and who was I'm thinking of? John Jones.
John Jones.
John Jones.
Cocaine head.
Yeah. Hey,
right.
I'm a fan.
Can't wait for this Saturday.
What's this Saturday?
Cormier Jones too.
Oh yeah, yeah. Let's go Cormier.
Let's go Jones.
So yes, McGregor is a champion, and he is a face of the UFC, but he hasn't dominated the way that Mayweather has.
Yeah, I would agree. And although Conor is a champion and he has the belt, he still never defended the belt. And that doesn't really sit well with a lot of fans. I know it doesn't sit well with myself because you'll get like your typical fan. It's like, oh, Conor's so great, this and that. It's like champions defend the belt. And I truthfully believe in that.
Right. Just a quick segue. Do we all believe that Conor should have lost his what was the belt that he had to relinquish?
The featherweight 145 belt.
Does everybody agree that should happen, or should he been allowed to keep them both and say, hey, I'll fight both weight classes?
I mean, if he was more active and actually fighting and not going after like money fights and stuff like that, then I could see it. But then again, how quick can a fighter turn around, especially after he's been in a war? Like the Diaz 2 fight, that was a war. So how much time do you need to take off before you can get into camp again and then fight again? There's you need to take ample time off, because if not, you're just shortening your career in the long run.
Right.
I think for the health of the UFC, I don't think it's right for him to hold 2 titles in 2 different weight classes, period. You are going to see that many less fights for a title, right? And if the title's not at least being fought at least every 6 months, there's a problem. If he's got 2 titles, he's not defending both at least twice in a year.
Yeah, because then he's going to just kill his body.
Oh,
Unless he's just knocking people out and he really can't be beaten,
right.
Which is a possibility, but then again,
yeah, definitely long-term health of the UFC. Yeah, it is not a smart move for him to be able to keep 2 belts, but I would argue the short-term health, again, this was Dana White saying, I'm going to cash in on this money, because he knew that he'd be able to do it with McGregor. And this is where I would second what Floyd has said, right, directly to Dana White in some of these press conferences, is that we are pimping these foreign fighters out. And it's just somewhat funny to me.
One question we haven't asked when we've talked about the value of Conor McGregor and what he should be paid for this fight is, do we think this is going to be the biggest pay-per-view that Mayweather's had? Like, how will this stack up to the Manny Pacquiao pay-per-view fight? Because, there was so much hype around them finally getting their fight going. Granted, it took like 4 or 5 years. But if Conor's if the pay-per-view is going to draw even more people paying or willing to pay, I think Conor is worth it. Because if you can show a quantifiable number saying, hey, we got this many more people purchasing the pay-per-view, why would he not be for that?
So, question for you guys: do you think that it will sell more than the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight?
Yes.
Yes. And that's just going to be simply based off, as Rich was just kind of alluding to, it took a few years for the Pacquiao and Mayweather fight to actually come to fruition and to develop. And so I think that started pulling people off, especially with the fact that, right, all your Mayweather fans thought that, right, he was just dodging Pacquiao, and so Pacquiao's now getting older and so forth, right, and setting up the rules and the stipulations. Whereas going back to this crossover thing and the showboating and the entertainment that McGregor is pulling in people, and you probably can go talk to almost anybody on the street, and they will at least know one of these 2 names. But what I'm going to find interesting is, have they announced what the pay-per-view is supposed to be cost?
Oh yeah, it's going to be $100 for HD. So that's why I'm curious, because do you think it's going to be $40 more than what a regular pay-per-view is? So you think they're going to sell more than 4,600,000 like they did with Pacquiao at a higher price?
All right, so just so I can try to answer this correctly, are we talking, do I think it's going to bring in more revenue then?
No,
or more?
Just more buys solely. Just more buys.
I would say we should go off revenue, because more than likely, oftentimes UFC fans are not going to pay for a pay-per-view fight for a boxing match, right? But in this case, because it's a crossover, why would 2 people not just go in and split the cost so it's a normal pay-per-view for either of them to buy? I say we go based on revenue, because that's what matters, right? It's the revenue made.
Yeah, because I know like a lot of people for the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight, everyone just showed up and had a pay-per-view party so that it's cheaper, and that was what, $60 or whatever. So.
Right. Yeah, since you gave me that number, what was it? 4,600,000 what?
4,600,000 was what the Pacquiao fight did. That's how many buys it had. Which is absurd. That's that's not the most ever. That's absurd. That's so many people.
That is absurd, especially then when you got to bring in, and I'm sure that's factored into it potentially. But when you think of the businesses that then buy the fights, because if you're a local bar, if I'm not mistaken, that you pay a separate price in order to show these pay-per-views. So that might not actually be included in that number. But you go back to that, so now not only were we just talking buys, but we're talking how many people watch it.
Oh, yeah. Well, the people that watch it is way more than the people that buy it. That's a fact, right?
Yeah, right. Yes. So to go back to answer the question, yes. I think that it'll generate more revenue. Right, and I think that was also, you've got experts working on this stuff in the background. I think they know that they can up this pay-per-view price milk some more money out of people, also knowing the fact that they're going to lose some people, so they're going to try to minimize those losses. The other item that I had read that I'll be curious on is that they are saying that this potentially may pass Super Bowl numbers, which is traditionally the number one watched
televised event.
Yes,
every year.
Yeah, it's crazy to see how far fighting has come. If that's the case, if they can outdo a Super Bowl, that's incredible.
Yeah, well, I mean, does anybody know what the Super Bowl was? Was it like 45 million, or am I way off base here? Was it something crazy?
I don't know. We could look it up.
While they look that up, something I'd like to point out too is I think the Manny Pacquiao Mayweather fight would have had at least a quarter more of people purchasing that fight if that fight would have happened in 2012, 2013. You know, you have 2010 is the start of the talk of Mayweather Pacquiao, and you have Pacquiao as a champion in 10 and 11, right? He's winning everything that he can. Mayweather's obviously Money May, he doesn't lose. You don't have them actually fight until 2015, and at that point, Manny Pacquiao's taken losses. You know, he got knocked out by Manuel Marquez.
Yep.
And that was just a brutal knockout.
And I enjoyed every second of him falling.
But the big thing about that, and that might be the case that you enjoyed it, but the big thing is Conor.
Well, it's not. It's a fact that I enjoyed it.
Conor's coming off some big wins, right? He's the current title holder in UFC. People want to see a winner. People want to believe that somebody can beat Mayweather. And so just the fact that it's a winner going against a winner is going to help draw in revenue.
Yeah, and then, I mean, we could be predicting McGregor all wrong this entire time. Like, he could go in there and just play Floyd's game and just put his gloves up, pop him once or twice every single round, and just play defense. So it's like, it's possible for McGregor to go in there and just play Floyd's game, and that's what he's been training for, you know?
True, and I'm glad you brought that up, because this is a primary sticking point to me that just pisses me off to no end, is that you have all these individuals that come in and talk about Floyd just being a defensive boxer, right? And like, he ducks fighters, right? He keeps changing rules for people to come in and fight him. And I've always said, you know what he's going to do. So why is it so hard, right, to go in there then and fight this guy? Again, barring that he knows what he's doing. But I'm just, if you are also a fellow boxer and you're at the top of your game, why do you feed right into his game bullshit plan? Bullshit. Just the way that this happens with some of the UFC guys, right? You get into a notable one that comes to my mind, because I also did not like this guy, Anderson Silva, right? He toyed around, he danced, right? He would put his hands down and people would just jump on that, right? Like a baby going after a mother's tit. And then you had, I'm having a hard time thinking of the American wrestler's name.
Chris
Weidman, who came in and said, I'm not going to chase you around. I'm going to stick right to my game plan. And he knocked him right the fuck out. So why don't people do that with Floyd? Is it that hard?
That's a good question. How long has Floyd Mayweather been boxing? I mean, he's mastered the art of boxing. He's mastered it.
Professional boxing, if we don't include the Olympics, is from 92, 93. And he's never changed his style. He's just constantly slightly adjusted and perfected. So you're talking about a guy that's got a discipline over 20 years, 25 years.
So there's a lot of film.
I mean, there is, but the question is, outside of you trying to overpower him, how do you break that defensive hold that he has on boxing? Like, how do you counter a Floyd Mayweather?
You don't. You make more Floyd Mayweather counter you.
Right, yeah. But then I would go back to, and again, we'd have to look at the output, but that CompuBox number, he's the most accurate fighter since 1985. And again, it could be low output, but you go back and watch some of his quickness of Mayweather's fights. He's lightning quick. This dude is striking you. He is in and out. Not necessarily the angles that Conor could put on him, but I just think that Mayweather is going to do his game plan, McGregor's is going to try to go in there early and probably rush some of it, and he's going to tire down, and it's just going to feed right in to Floyd's, master plan of saying, "Pay me, motherfuckers."
Well, Floyd's not stupid either. I mean, look at Conor McGregor's fights. What does he try to do when he fights? He tries to knock people out. That's what he does. He knocks people out. He's not trying to submit people. He's not trying to win decisions. He's coming in to knock you the fuck out.
True.
That's his game plan. He's coming in to drop his fucking left hand and put you to sleep. That's the game plan.
He's been pretty good about it, too, his career.
That's the game plan every single time.
So, I mean, he could come in on the first round, bum rush them, give everybody what they wanted for the pay-per-view, and then just sit back for the next 11 or 10 or 9 rounds, whatever the hell they're going to box up to.
Should be a full 12 if I understand it's strict boxing rules and that it should be a 12-round fight.
Yeah.
So
there's going to be a lot of clinching early on, too. Like, Floyd is going to feel bum rushed, right? He's going to go into a defensive guard, but if Conor's going to expend all his energy the first 4 rounds, Floyd will have to clinch. There's no way he's not going to just be constantly in a clinching hold.
I agree, and like I said, that's one of the places where I am somewhat, worried about when it comes to the fight and what McGregor can do, because I don't think Floyd's really going to be able to do much. But I am not putting it past Floyd to have something written in this contract, right, to where this referee is on top of those clinches, and going to try to stop it.
Well, yeah, they're worried about a dirty shot too, something like an elbow or something like that. They're worried about things like that.
And if that happens, do you think that Conor should be immediately DQ'd, or do you think that's just a warning because they want these numbers?
For a fair shot, it shouldn't be any different than any other boxer. You're not going to DQ somebody off the bat. You're going to give them a warning.
Yeah, like if it was going by boxing rules, like they're setting it up, then yeah, it should just be a warning. But I mean, if he continued to do it, then obviously.
Well, right. So okay. Well, so my next question was going to be: at what point do you lose a point? Is that like just after you get a warning? If you do the same thing, right, then that's a point, and then anything further from that, then you are losing the fight. Is that accurate?
I would think so.
Okay. So I mean, nobody here is this caught up on boxing rules. I mean, I sure as hell am not.
No, I'm not either. I mean, like we said earlier, like boxing's been kind of dying out, and this is almost like a rebirth for it,
At least in America, it's been dying out.
Yeah.
Right. Oh yeah. Fully agreed.
What I've noticed is it really is pending the referee, right? So I do watch a lot of boxing, and some referees are very strict. They'll give the warning. They'll deduct a point if it happens again. Another referee, especially if they have fighting experience, they'll give a warning. A couple rounds goes by. If it happens again, they give one more warning, like, no, I'm gonna deduct this point. Then at that point, it's on you if you choose to mess up a third time. Because at that point,
you're saying is McGregor is going to know that he gets a warning, so he's going to make sure he gets a good shot in.
I would think so.
Honestly, would that be a bad game plan though?
No. I mean, that's what I would do.
No, I think
we're fighting, so I'm going to win the fight.
Right? Yeah. I think it's a very solid game plan. Now, something that I was wondering, and this will kind of be my last question before we run into a break here. Is this? I get that this is a professional boxing match, but is this actually is this considered at all an exhibition match, and is this going to affect Floyd's actual 49-0? I mean, I understand that he might have a loss, but sometimes you have an exhibition match and it doesn't really count against your record. Is anybody familiar with that at all? Or
I'm not familiar with that at all. I would think that because they're saying it's going to be a professional boxing match, and this is McGregor's first professional boxing match. Yeah. So wouldn't that allude to him being either 50-0 or 49-1, depending on the outcome of the fight?
Yeah, I agree with that. Part of me just is so shocked. And maybe, again, this is that Floyd knows that or has a very good suspicion, right, that he is going to win this fight. But right now he's tied with the best record, correct? Correct. I mean, it is from a dude from like the 1920s or 30s or whoever you got.
I think it's 1930s.
But so I'm just sitting there like, why wouldn't you want to come back, ensure that you can hit your 50, right, and then take this, this fight? Minus the payday.
Well, I think in the eyes of boxing fans, they understand the power that Conor brings, right? If for some strange reason the 20%, 10% chance that Conor wins, it does happen, I don't think it'll have a bad reflection on Floyd's career. because in the eyes of boxing, they don't view Conor as a boxer, right? And so, pound for pound, no boxer's beaten Floyd Mayweather. Some people have come slightly close, but he's never seen it from a boxer. I don't think people are viewing this as a true boxing match. I think the repercussions aren't so bad for Floyd, but in boxing, it'll kill boxing in America completely.
If Floyd loses.
If Floyd loses, absolutely. For UFC, they have nothing but to gain. You know, if Conor goes out and he gets mopped up, they still got the coverage. You know, they're going to get that much more coverage. If Conor goes in and he wins, if it doesn't become the biggest sport, you know, in America, and then shifting towards, you know, worldwide, I don't see how boxing doesn't die out if Conor wins.
All right, fair point. We're going to take a short break, and we will be right back. All right, and we are back with your views and my facts. Don't forget to find us up on Twitter, which is @ViewsandFacts. Again, I am Thomas John. I've got Rich with me, Will, and Cody. We're talking about the August 26th fight between Floyd Money Mayweather and Conor, the notorious McGregor. So where we had ended off with basically giving a lot of praise and talks with Mayweather, my apologies. And so we'd like to try to switch this a little bit to McGregor now and talk about some of his accolades and what his game plan could possibly be. So I'm going to turn it over to Rich for a minute so he can give us some of his thoughts. So go ahead, Rich.
You know, a big thing for Conor might be to get actually an early victory the first 2 rounds, right? And I'm not talking knockout. I'm simply saying use the boxing point system to your advantage. Rush, 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 right? Use what energy you can, and then from that point on, go the rest of the match sort of just on the defense. Make Floyd come at you. I don't think any boxing fan in the last 10 years has seen Floyd really on the attack. He always counterpunches. And I think that would make Floyd susceptible to another large shot later on in the 3rd or 4th round.
Well, I wouldn't even say wait till the 3rd or 4th round. Like I said, you know, if McGregor can come out and win the first 2 and then just play Mayweather's game, then he can just sit there and set the tone, and that could draw Mayweather in, and McGregor can just match him punch for punch, point for point, and then you go for 12 rounds. If he has the endurance, if you can go for 12 rounds at that point, then he can pull out the fight as a boxer would pull out the fight.
Potentially.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to see.
Yeah. I mean, because everyone's expecting McGregor to come out and just go balls to the wall trying to get the knockout, you know? So, why wouldn't he just play Mayweather's game and just take him out or get the lead early on for points the first 1 or 2 rounds and then just hang back and let his endurance and his breath build back up, drawing Mayweather in so that he doesn't, you know, just exhaust himself by the 4th round, because we're all predicting it that if he doesn't knock him out by the 4th round, McGregor loses.
Right. Know? Yep. All right. So right before the break, I was mentioning that you know, why would Floyd potentially want to you know, put a blemish on his record since he's still only tied for having the best record right now. So is it out of the realm of possibility? For Floyd to potentially lose this fight on purpose, or B, if McGregor does pull out a victory, is there a larger payday for a rematch?
If Conor wins, there will not be a larger payday for a rematch, unless it were to go decision, right? If Conor knocks out Floyd Mayweather, there's no reason at all that Conor should give him a rematch. He's come into a whole different sport, theoretically. He's beaten the best. And if he knocks him out, I don't know why any fan would want to pay for a rematch.
I could see it being like the Jose Aldo situation where, you know, the build-up for the fight is crazy, and then he knocks Jose Aldo out super fast, and then he never gets a rematch. McGregor's like, I just ran through you, I knocked you out. So how, are you deserving of a rematch? Are you really deserving of a rematch? Is the way he would see it. Because at that point, you know, the king calls the shots, right? So if he knocks him out, therefore he would be king and he would be calling shots.
Right, yeah, and nobody believes for 1 second back to the press conferences when Floyd said that he would fight in a ring or in an octagon, that if he happened to lose and there was a rematch, if Conor said you could come into the octagon, nobody actually believes that Floyd's going to go there, correct?
No.
Absolutely not.
That would be the worst decision ever.
Yeah, I mean, he would just be demolished.
He'd die.
I mean, Mayweather has the old man strength, but, like, he's not going to be able to handle any sort of grappling or any shit like that. And there's a completely different, like, rhetoric when it comes to, like, getting in close and in your fucking face. He can't just clinch and expect everything to go away.
Right. Yeah. And that's where I would easily see, I mean, then you have opened up, right? I mean, all the elbows, going to the ground, even though we said that Conor doesn't, necessarily go there too much. But I think Conor would go to make a point of, I can step into your world. MMA fighters can step into a boxing world, but you will never be able to get, it hasn't been proven yet, that a boxer can go into an MMA world. Because we already had one guy try it, whoever the big dude was, that fought Randy Couture. But there was that large boxer that came in.
Oh,
I
yeah,
want to say
what is his name?
started with a T or but anyways, he got fucking dropped like a sack of rocks too. And that was against, yes, Couture, right? I believe he went into the Olympics as well. Don't quote me on that. But, I mean, Couture was old at that point.
It was James Toney.
James Toney. And yet Randy just did what he needed to do. He avoided a few of those punches right away. And then he got into a clinch, put him up against the fence, took him down, and said, I don't remember if it was submission or knockout, but it ended in like the first round. So boxers can't go into an MMA world, and it's nothing to take away from boxing. It's just it is a completely different aspect, which is why I've always been a proponent of, if you're going to learn to fight, learn to fight MMA, right? Whether it's jiu-jitsu or, Krav Maga, whatever it is, karate. Don't be doing boxing. That's only going to get you so far. So unless you knock the dude out in the bar, right, or you're on the street, what is boxing going to get you when they go to the ground?
Yeah, and the thing is, too, is if Mayweather were to go to the octagon, he has a less than 1% chance of beating McGregor in the octagon. There's just no way. He'd be too susceptible to other forms of attack and such. It wouldn't even be close. Like, Conor's skill set in unarmed combat is higher than his. In a boxing ring, Mayweather has him. But in the octagon where anything goes, it's totally different. It's totally different.
We're talking like a 30-second knockout.
Easy.
We're talking a couple strikes. At some point, he's against the cage. And then if Conor can use any form of his legs, I don't think Floyd's felt that kind of pain ever in his life.
Yeah, or Conor drags him along just to fucking work him.
Just like Jones is going to do to Canelo or whatever.
Cormier.
Cormier. I told you I'm not a fight expert.
Son of a bitch.
I'm the common man here at this round table discussion.
I'm going for Jones on that too.
Yeah, I want to see John Jones back in his full form.
All right. So with Conor being as good as he is in the UFC and him having this much confidence that he's going to be able to go in and take out arguably the best boxer that we've had in the last 25, 30 years, what does anybody know what the odds are currently set for either of the fighters?
I want to say McGregor is 5-1 underdog in this situation.
So all right. Well, we're going to try to get some of those answers here. But the question that I want to put out to you is, with him being so confident, and the reports are that he's going to get $100 million, right? Those 9 figures. He had agreed. Now, granted, this was basically just in passing, but during one of the press conferences, right, Mayweather said, "Bet your whole fucking purse." Right? So, would anybody put it past Conor, or do we think that it would be a smart move for him? No, not to put the whole purse up, right? Because obviously that's basically to go right to Floyd. But could we see Conor going and placing a bet on himself of the money he has in his fucking bank? I mean, because obviously you don't have $100 million. He doesn't probably have $20 million. I don't know what he has in his bank, but you're going to get all your money back plus some, win or lose. So why not throw it all down on yourself?
Throwing it all would be absurd. But to place a bet on yourself, like, why wouldn't you do that? If you truthfully believe you're going to win, what you need to truthfully to think that you're going to win if you are going to win. So
Right, yeah. So, yeah, I agree that it would be absurd that if – so, again, I believe the comment was, right, that Floyd said, you bet your whole fucking purse, right, that you're going to beat me. And that's where, yeah, I'm with you. Conor ain't going to do that. He's not stupid. And his wife would probably kill him.
yeah,
But what I'm saying is anything that he has in the bank right now, because it's probably – and this is what I'm saying, it's probably nowhere even close to $25 million. You're going to get that $25 million back.
yeah. Well, I mean, it would make sense for him to put something on himself, right? Because Mayweather's going to walk in there and bet on himself. Someone from his entourage or someone is going to put the money on him. There's no way.
You would
That's not
fucking
gonna
think
happen.
so.
Or he's setting himself up to throw the fight and,
Yeah, and then his homie
multiply
walks in there.
his assets by 5 if it's a 1 to 5.
I mean, now, and I don't want to get into conspiracy theories or like off the grid ideas, but
It just got to look good.
yeah, exactly. But for Floyd Mayweather, he has had a couple years off from fighting, right? He hasn't fought since 15, so he hasn't seen revenue come in the way it used to come in. All right, I know the guy's got a huge entourage. I know he's got a shit ton of debt, right? I mean, is it far-fetched to imagine him placing money against himself and making it a competitive fight and then getting knocked out towards the end of the fight? I mean, it's brilliant if you look at a money perspective because, like I said, I don't think this does anything to his career for the long haul. But why would you not take that kind of payday if it's a 5-1 odd or more?
I just see both of their pride stepping in and saying that I just can't see him. As much as I talk about it and I throw out the question of somebody throwing a fight, I can't see it. Cody, looks like you want to chime in, so go right ahead.
Well,
man.
I mean, it's granted, it's your pride, right? That would be the only thing that could hold him back from betting against himself and throwing the fight. But it comes down to the age-old question that we always talk about. It's like, well, how much money would it take for you to suck a dick or something like that? That's your pride.
You're right.
So
You're
it's
right.
like money can definitely sway you to lose your pride.
Yeah.
There's not many people that would not allow that kind of payday. We're looking at what, $500 million that he could get back.
If you were to bet $100 million, yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so just looking at the odds, so Mayweather was set at, and this is just strictly odds to win, so minus 550.
As of today.
As of today, yeah, from oddshark.com.
So I think when it first came out, right, Mayweather was sitting at probably like his normal minus 15, minus 1600, whatever it was, and I think Conor was also some outrageous like plus 1100, which I'll give you a quick synopsis for you guys if you're not sure how the betting works, but the minus in front of a number means that you have to spend that much amount of money. So minus 550, you need $550 that you got to put down just to win $100. The plus sign means that you put down just $100 to win whatever's behind that plus symbol. So in the case of the current odds for today, so again, minus 550 for Mayweather, plus 375 for McGregor. So that would be $100 betting on McGregor that you'd get 375 back. But yeah, back when those odds first came out, yeah, I think it was something, just plus 1100. And, I believe I was at a buddy's house when these first odds came out. And I said, I could not believe those odds on McGregor because even though I don't think he's going to win, why would you not throw a fucking bet down on that? $100 to win 1100.
I mean, I'm going to go spend money when I go through Vegas this weekend to put on.
Yeah.
Conor.
Why not? Exactly. What do you have to lose? And also, right, I mean, again, for the audience, you don't have to put down $100. You can put down $10. You can put down $5. I'm not advocating betting. You do what you want. But you might as well try to go.
Betting. I advocate betting.
Oh, yeah.
If you're the house.
We're gambling men.
Yeah. Yeah, somehow I'm not broke yet, but that's besides the point. But yeah, so what? Yeah, why would you not just throw down something, especially when those odds were that great? So going back to, I believe our comment was, yeah, if he put down, what was it, $5 million to throw the fight?
Sure, I said $100 million. If he put down
$100 million.
Yeah. Because he's Floyd Money Mayweather. He should have that kind of money, right?
Can't pay his taxes.
Yeah, he should.
The guy's name is Money. Imagine that.
So, yeah, I mean, I just tried to do the rough math in my head. I mean, so if you're getting $100 for every 500 you put down, right, that's 5-1.
Yeah.
So $100 million, yeah, he'd be bringing in, $20 million on top of his 100?
Yep.
So, yeah, that's a good fucking payday just off a bet. But now we're talking about this is Floyd, and he ain't fighting for less than 9 figures anyways, so why would he take that measly of a bet?
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
Because he's going to get his payday regardless from the fight. You know?
Oh, yeah.
He's going to get that money regardless, win or lose, draw, whatever.
Yep.
He's going to get that money. So why not take a little bit of his own personal cash, put it on McGregor, and then double up?
Right, yes.
You got to pay child support somehow.
Somehow, yeah. Or at least securing that interest for the IRS.
Got to go back to school to read.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah. He's just had some bad luck with trying to read some promos in his day for Floyd. No disrespect, Floyd. I know you kicked my ass. I'm just throwing it out there. I mean, you got some money. Maybe you can try to rectify the problem.
I mean, but with that kind of money, you don't need to read. You could hire someone to read.
Oh, right, yeah. So, I had mentioned, going back to what I was worried about with the clinch and McGregor jumping in there, right, and doing some dirty boxing. What I'm always also worried about is when you go back and watch a lot of Floyd's fights, he does a lot of stuff on the ropes. And I can see going back with McGregor's, power with his jabs and his hooks, that he will be waiting for that opportunity for Floyd to be on the ropes, and that's where he can clip him. And by clip, I mean strike his fucking jaw hard. Because Floyd bounces off those ropes, and if you go back and watch the videos, he does get rocked a few times from whatever fighters it may be. Obviously, some are more brutal than others. Obviously, Mayweather's always come out the victor, but again, Conor is not weak when it comes to knowing the fight game, and he's been putting in his work. He's been putting in his money to have some probably the best trainers to go on and help figure out this riddle, which is Mayweather. I believe I had read that two of his guys that he used to box with, back in Ireland, went on to I think one was like John Kavanagh, and he went on to train underneath Freddie Roach, right? Who's arguably one of the most notable boxing coaches. So when you have this much invested on something that you could win, granted, I don't know how the contract is structured, so if you win, if you're going to get more money, again, I think Conor's just kind of stuck with where he's at. But it goes back to, you beat him, you beat Floyd. Not only did you do the crossover, you knocked out the dude that has never lost, but now you're the king. You're going to make that fucking money afterwards, no matter what you do.
Endorsements, all sorts of sponsorships. Like, at that point, you might as well just sell out.
Your life is set for sure.
Oh, right. And potentially he might go into doing some more promotions, because I know I thought he had mentioned that before, that he was trying to, for McGregor, right, trying to get like a little promotion thing going, a la Mayweather, and making money there, if Dana White ever releases him, because those contracts are signed in blood, from what I can tell. Good luck. I mean, somehow GSP got out.
Yeah, but he's coming back.
Yeah, but he's coming back on his terms, from what I understand.
I mean, that's what we're all told.
Yeah, we'll see, because you got to sign the contract at the end of the day if you want to fight.
That's true.
I think for Mayweather, it would be a warning for him. He does use the ropes as a way to tire out most of these boxing athletes, right? He does get hit a couple times for sure on the ropes, but it's,
so what do you mean by tiring out? That the opponent throws more punches trying to get to him?
correct. So like that's normally his play at the ropes. He'll take the shots because he knows it'll exhaust the fighter, right? I don't think he understands that Conor's shots are going to have far more of an effect if he actually were to put himself on the ropes. I don't think Floyd would allow that to happen. I don't see Floyd going to the ropes this fight. I think that would be a humongous mistake.
But I don't think he can stand toe to toe. I mean, he's quick and his hands are going to be up, but I do, if he stays in the ring, to clarify, if he stays off the ropes, I think that's a bad move.
What happens if they get out of the ring?
Well, who's to say? I mean, if Conor gets out of the ring, he's probably going to go search for another boxer to call out, like he did when he beat what's his face and he went searching for Jose Aldo.
Yeah, when he beat Chad Mendez and ran out there.
Yeah. So if
madman.
so if that happens to Conor, did I miss a joke there? Was there something more funny there?
You can't exit the ring during the fight.
Got it. Is that just a warning, or are you DQ'd?
No, that's a disqualification. It's done.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
Unless it's like a WWF episode, and then like Donald Trump comes from like the top ropes with an elbow.
it's WWE, by the way.
I'm still living in the
I mean, the
90s.
World Wildlife Federation sued WWF. Now it's WWE.
It's always going to be WWF to me.
Look, side note, speaking of that, and you brought up Donald Trump. Did anybody see when he posted that video of when he was when he made an appearance on the WWE and like he was like elbow dropping some dude, but he like superimposed like a CNN logo on the dude's head? Did anybody else see that?
Yes, I saw that.
That was funny as shit. I mean, just trying to take away, the any political stances. That was funny. I mean, it's just clever fucking shit.
The internet is always victorious.
Yeah, it always gets its day.
Yeah, it is victorious, and this will be a topic for another day. But whether the internet and social media has kind of ruined America. But again, let's get back onto the topic. So Mayweather McGregor. Any other thoughts on McGregor on what his potential game plan is going to be? Then in the actual ring. I mean, so we've talked about him kind of rushing forward and trying to get some dirty shots in or wearing out Mayweather right away. Him staying back and just playing defensive all the time, winning the first couple of rounds. Do we see a draw?
I don't think a draw will happen because I just don't see him outboxing Floyd Mayweather, and that's the thing. Can he win rounds? I definitely think he could win rounds. Like, does everyone agree on that? That McGregor could win at minimum a round.
I think he'll win 3 rounds.
He could win at least a round.
Yeah.
That's all right. So that raises another question that has been floating around in my head. One, going back to this whole real quick, the draw aspect. I think that's another avenue that I could see. If you're a conspiracy theorist, you have a draw, you're going to get a rematch then, right? I mean, there's going to have to be a second one. That could be a big payday. But with all your pro boxing fans, you would say Conor is not going to do jack shit, right? I mean, from the pro boxing fans, right? Everybody would say that, hey, Conor ain't going to do anything.
Yeah, of course. Why wouldn't you say that?
Okay. And now the MMA fans, obviously, they're not really in the middle. They just want Conor to win outright or knock him out, right? And this whatever it's because of domestic reasons, Floyd's a bitch, whatever people want to say, but I am I lost my train of thought right now.
I know where you're leading to. Basically, if McGregor can win a round or 2 rounds, like, is that a win for McGregor walking into a different domain?
Yes.
Like, at what point do you say even if McGregor loses, he still won? From a standpoint of he's outside of his league.
Well, for sure, if he goes back to the UFC fighting after that situation, that's going to come up with the shit talk and everything. Oh, I fucking won rounds against the best boxer, and I did this, and I did
right.
that. And
Yes, and so that brings up a point. If he wins 0, I don't think he has any room to talk whatsoever. But if he wins X amount, and this is the X amount that I'm trying to figure out, where can he start talking this shit? I won 5 out of the 12 rounds against the best defensive boxer. What the fuck have you done, right? Jose Aldo, nothing. You did nothing in 13 seconds, that you fought me because I knocked your ass out after that. You didn't see 14 seconds.
Here's a scary thought. After this, when he goes back to UFC, how much better is he at striking since he's been practicing nonstop for this?
yeah, how much faster are his hands, stuff like that. That'd be interesting to see.
Especially with training heavier gloves.
Yeah, that too. I would have liked to see them. I mean, just imagine if they would have did a boxing match with like 4-ounce gloves or something like that. That would have been crazy.
Or just met in the middle instead of doing 10 ounces, just do a 6.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That would have changed the game.
I agree. It would change the game, but I think that is a pro and a con for both fighters.
Oh yeah,
because you can argue that it puts it closer to where McGregor has been at with holding up gloves. But if we're talking the speed of Mayweather, less weight, are you not even that much faster? And yeah, I mean, 4 ounces, I guess a total of 8 ounces, right, for each hand. It doesn't seem like that much. It's still a bitch. I mean, 12 ounces is a damn beer can.
Yeah.
So
Those are different type of ounces.
Fluid ounces.
fuck you.
I mean, do we think that the 10 ounce?
My scientist over here.
He is a scientist.
Thanks, Cody.
Do we think the 10 ounce? Obviously, it's going to impact somewhat, right? But how much of an impact will it have on Connor's power?
It's going to have a significant impact. I mean, think of a 4-ounce glove, and you see him, sleep these dudes with a 4-ounce glove. Do you think he's knocking people out with a 10-ounce glove if, say, they were wearing those in the UFC like that? I think some of the shots, yeah, but obviously, 10-ounce gloves, there's more padding in the glove. It's not going to be as hard of a shot from a 4-ounce glove. A 4-ounce glove is pretty much, you have a very thin cushion over your knuckles.
Yeah.
A very thin cushion over your knuckles, where a boxing glove is not like that.
I agree. But are we doubting any of the power, though?
No.
Like,
Of course not. We know he has power. It's definitely going to play a role, though. Having the 10-ounce glove to a 4-ounce glove, it's definitely going to,
yeah.
It's going to take away from his power slightly. I'm not saying it's like this huge difference, but there will be a difference.
And are you losing a concentration for my scientist over here? Are you losing any concentration of power between a larger rounded surface of a boxing glove versus your MMA style, right where you can kind of see the knuckles?
Yeah, in the from the concept of like pressure and impact or whatever.
Yeah.
Think about like when a girl wears like a stiletto heel compared to like just a normal shoe. There's far much more pressure at that one point. But then the other aspect you got to think about is with the glove, there's more padding that his fingers are going to get wrapped around, and he will have more of a solid hand whenever he throws a punch now compared to with just the 4-ounce gloves. It's like if you put a roll of quarters in your hand, like you got a rock in your hand at that point,
Yeah.
So he's going to have a little more like oomph behind the hit. Plus, you're adding in the extra weight. That's more power or force that's going to be applied to Mayweather's face.
I didn't think about that. Yeah, the force actually momentum going forward is going to be a lot higher because it's a higher surface area.
Yeah.
So stupid question. They end up canceling out. I mean,
well, with the padding is going to absorb some of the impact, but you're still going to have a lot of power behind it. So, you would have to do a lot of integrals to figure out exactly how much power is lost between the punch, because of the absorption. But yeah.
All right. All right. So we will try to wrap this up here. So we'll try to get any last final thoughts. Rich, any last final thoughts on this August 26th match between Money and the Notorious?
I think this is going to be the downfall of boxing, regardless of what happens. I think when Floyd Mayweather's career is said and done, I think they'll honor him. But I think boxing in America is basically dead after this.
Regardless.
I think regardless, yeah.
Unless you get another huge fighter, like a Mike Tyson or something like that. That's the only time it'll be able to be revived.
And is anybody coming up? Does anybody know? Like, is there anybody that's supposedly in the wings?
Well, there's going to be Canelo and Gennady Golovkin fighting, and I think that's in September, I want to say, which is probably the biggest fight boxing seen in a long time. But
what would it be equivalent to? If you don't mind, I mean, just for our casual listeners.
Those are pretty much the two cash cows that people want to see in boxing right now, aside from some of the heavyweight fighters.
Okay. Got it.
I mean, that's your equivalency to like the Cavs Warriors, like playoffs.
Yeah, it would be similar to that.
Okay. All right, Will, any final thoughts then on McGregor, Mayweather? Any last thing that you want to just get across on?
No matter what happens with this fight, I hope that McGregor doesn't stop fighting in the UFC. I hope he gets his payday and then comes back to the UFC and doesn't just hang it up. I want to see him at least defend the belt.
Okay. All right, so okay, yeah, you want him to come back no matter what. Him transitioning over to boxing, you don't want to see that either, obviously. No. It is go do your thing, win or lose.
Yeah, make your money, come back, defend your belt, and let's see what happens.
Okay. Cody, any last? I mean, and this is for whatever, any topic regarding the Mayweather McGregor fight or something that we haven't touched on yet that might be relevant.
Yeah, I mean, as long as McGregor comes out and tries to play Mayweather's game like as if he is Mayweather, then he stands a chance. If he comes out swinging, he just needs a lucky shot. And if he can get that lucky shot, then he can win. But besides that, Mayweather's taking it all the way to the 12th round, and he's going to win by decision.
Okay, so that brings me up to my very last point then. So just prediction, so not just a winner, but the prediction overall. So, Cody, what are you predicting?
Mayweather, by decision.
By decision, all 12 rounds.
All 12 rounds. He's going to win at least 7 of those 12 rounds.
All right, so and that should be unanimous decision then, right? Or would that be a majority? It doesn't matter, right?
Unanimous is just when the 3 referees agree.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, so unanimous decision for Mayweather over McGregor from Cody. Will, your final, I mean, this is where you can get as specific as you want.
Yeah, I got
gentlemen's bets here.
Yeah, I got Mayweather over McGregor by unanimous decision. I think he's going to win, 9 rounds. 9 out of these 12 rounds.
Okay.
I think Conor will get a knockdown. But
he will get a knockdown on Floyd Money Mayweather.
I think he'll get a knockdown.
It's believable.
It is absolutely believable.
Okay.
But
do you want any specific round, any give or take? I mean, somewhere in
probably
second round.
Second round.
Okay.
Minute and a half in.
Got it. Okay.
Exactly.
Got it. Second round, minute and a half in.
But unanimous decision, Floyd Money Mayweather, right? And I assume it's going to be 9 rounds to 3.
Okay. So I'm gonna go a little bit crazier here, just to add some spice. But I'm going to say that Conor is going to be TKO'd. And that he will have a towel thrown in.
You think it's going to get to the point that he gets so tired that Mayweather is just going to be bopping the shit out?
No, not really.
You did,
but I'm just trying to.
You saw him versus Diaz, right?
The one where he lost.
It doesn't matter. The brutality on both those fights is just nothing that Mayweather is going to be able to produce.
Yes, but I think that there is something to be said for being repeatedly punched in the head over and over and over and over again to where that's where you get breaks in the UFC, right? That is not happening to you. But again, no, that's not what I think, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just trying to add some spice. So overall, yeah, I say Mayweather wins unanimous decision, and I'm going to be at least in that 9-round mark. But I'm just trying to add a little bit of flair, right? Because this is what I like to do, and I just want to be able to say that I told you guys so. That TKO, and it will be in the latter rounds to where they just say.
I would love to see that though.
Nope.
I like McGregor, but I would love to see Mayweather just work his magic and TKO him, especially for like what would be his last fight. Because I don't think Mayweather's going to fight ever again after this, win or lose or draw.
Yeah, that this should be the last go for him.
Does anybody think this? Do we think this is going to be an exciting fight or a boring fight, though?
First 2 or 3 rounds will be exciting.
Ooh, that's a good question.
Is it going to feel like we paid money to see a good fight?
Well, I mean, I've never felt like anyone's paid good money to see a good boxing match. So
I think as if you are a fan of boxing and if you understand the art. I don't think that you would ever say that. I don't think you're going to wake up the next day and say WTF if Floyd wins, because you're going to be able to see him do what he does best. If he loses, depending on, I guess I would say if he loses, I think then a lot more people are going to be happy, right? Because it's obviously probably going to be a knockout then by far. So boring fight to the layman, probably. But I think it'll still show class, even though that Mayweather's been out for 2 years. Him being at 50% is still light years ahead of what Conor was able to even get to in this short amount of time. So yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to watching it, and yeah, if that means I got to drop the $120 or $100 to buy the fight, I'm buying the fucking fight.
And if we're going to come watch it for free at your house.
And I said,
yeah, we're coming over.
Well, $20 buy-in.
I'll just
Fine
bring
by me.
or a 6-pack. I mean, bring me. So you can do something.
What about strippers? Can we just bring you strippers?
I tried to walk away from that life.
and it just keeps pulling you back in.
Yeah.
You mascot about their quote.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's similar to Jones and cocaine, right? You just can't get away from it.
Once it hits
It's
your
hell of a
lips.
drug.
Yeah. All right. Well, that about sums it up for us here. So again, August 26th is the Floyd Money Mayweather versus Conor the Notorious McGregor. So if you have the money, highly recommend that you buy the fight. If you don't have the money, just go mooch off somebody like apparently my 3 friends are going to do to me. And we will look forward to you tuning in to the next podcast. Again, this is Your Views, My Facts. Find us on Twitter @ViewsandFacts, and we will talk to you again.